Check, check, 1, 2, 1, 2. Here we go. This is the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast, episode 433.
I program my own computer.
We have a server crash, 404 error, page not found, links aren't working, system is crashing, system is crashing, system is crashing.
Your old HTML website, barely alive. We have the technology. We have WordPress. A new website, better than it was before. Better, stronger, faster. We have the technology. The technology.
Why, hello everybody, this is Adam Silver, the host of the Kitchen Sink WP Podcast. Thanks for being here. Let's get started. All right, upcoming events, no WordCamps. Sorry, but we'll talk about that in a second here, about WordCamps. Anyway, moving on, segment 1. In the news, a couple things here. Elementor has acquired Strattic, quote, to redefine WordPress hosting. So Strattic is a company, I believe they're out of Israel, that they would take a WordPress site and make it a static site. So it'll be really fast, no database to be hacked, etc. So Elementor is one of the page building companies, a competitor to, Divi and Beaver Builder, etc. They have acquired it, and not sure where this is going to go. There's a link in the show notes about this and how this is going to play out. But congratulations to all people there. Also in the news, I read online that's Atom, A-T-O-M, the IDE, the integrated, what's IDE stand for? Editor, development environment, IDE in a development environment. They are sunsetting the application as of, when was this? It was last week, I believe. Oh yeah, by the end of this year, actually. So as of last week, they announced that they will sunset and archive all the projects by December 15th, 2022. And I guess more people have just been moving to Visual Studio Code and Studio Editor from Microsoft, and et cetera. So link to that in show notes as well. And lastly, in the news, my photo project, a little update there. So if you missed it, I have been sharing photos from WordCamps and WordPress events, started back on June 1st, since that was the 10-year mark of me attending the WordPress community events, and it's kind of going well. So there's a hashtag KSWP_photo. You can find them. They're not every day. It just depends if I was at an event that day, and I share between up to 4 or 5, 6 photos, depends on what makes sense. I tag people, etc. I'm putting a page on the website as well, but sadly, the API from Twitter only allows the plugin I'm using 7 days of history, so I can't have them all there right now. But I do have a plan I've already put in place with the Zap from Zapier to save the links, and I'll have an archive of this after the full year goes by. It's from June 1 this year to June 1 next year. I'll have an archive of all the photos that I've taken over the last 10 years that I've shared this project. Anyway, kind of fun, so it's pretty cool. Okay, that's it in the news. Moving on to segment 2, the meat potatoes of this week's episode. So WordCamp talk again. WordCamp EU, the Europe the conference that was just in Porto, in Portugal. I didn't go, as you all know, if you were listening last week. At the last minute, didn't go. But I had FOMO, and I know a lot of people were there, so I reached out to about a dozen people or so, asking for feedback and asking for their experience and how it was, if they wouldn't mind sharing. I gave them some questions, and people have submitted those. I have one from Angela Jin, Ants Miller, Piccia, Neri, and Raquel Landfeld. Take a listen, and come back with the tip and tool of the week after this.
Hi, I'm Ant Miller. I was MC Track 2 Day 2 morning slot for WordCamp Europe 2022 in Porto. And what was my WordCamp Europe like? Well, right, the questions. I was trying to do that. Favorite experience while in Porto was just catching up with everyone again. There were some people who weren't there, and I want to acknowledge that there are still people in our community who can't make it at the moment, and that's a shame. And I'm looking forward to seeing them again. So, absent friends is my toast for WordCamp Europe 2022. But for those who were there, it was so great to see you all again. That was brilliant. Which talk stood out? Well, other than all the talks that I emceed for, which were all superb and amazing, and I'm so lucky I got to work with such brilliant speakers. I would say that the one talk I caught that was really cool with Jonathan Walds. His approach to partnerships is one that is really helpful to me. I'm kind of using him as a bit of a mentor at the moment. The hallway track, awesome as ever. And back in person at events since COVID, well, it's not really since COVID. We're coping with it, really. It's adaptations, and it was good, and it was great to be back with all the coping in place. It was a challenge, I know, to keep it safe, but it was worth the effort, and yeah, it's brilliant. So yeah, here's to next time, and here's to things like WordCamp Europe, WordCamp Orlando, WordCamp London happening again, and hopefully we'll be coming back together more and more in the months and years ahead. I'm really looking forward to it.
Hey Adam, it's Angela Jin. I had such an amazing time at WordCamp Europe in Porto. It's really hard to pick out just one favorite experience, but one that sticks out that I am overjoyed by is Contributor Day. First, we started the day and everyone was super enthusiastic about being together and working on WordPress. This was the first in-person contributor day in a very long time, and so the organizing team expected around 500 people in attendance, but then we had over 800. So it led to all sorts of challenges like needing more chairs and tables and trying to figure out how to feed everyone. But like so many other WordPress community challenges, we worked through it all together. And I'm just over the moon that we had such a rich, full contributor day. It was a really wonderful moment that I will treasure for a very long time.
It's quite hard to say which was my favorite experience in Porto, because the whole thing was actually magical, I have to say. I have to apologize for my voice. I lost it entirely while there because I'm not used to talking non-stop for nearly a week and seeing so many people that I hadn't seen for so long. So I would say that the human contact experience has definitely been my favorite thing. It's been wonderful. I have to say, I was lucky enough to get onto the Pagely and GoDaddy boat, which was, I think, on the Thursday, and or the Wednesday maybe. Yeah, Wednesday. And that was beautiful. So grateful, because we went up and down the river. We got nearly out into the ocean. It really felt like we were seeing the city rather than just doing the conference. It was a wonderful experience, and I'm very grateful for that. The talks, I didn't do that many talks because I was busy with the human experience, and because also I found the layout a bit challenging with the screens. There were lots going on. Usually, I think that the best idea would be to have just the screen with a presentation on, because then that's what you focus on. But both in track 1 and track 2, there were lots of other elements competing with the main screen. And especially in track 1, there was also the noise of the sponsors' stands in the back of it. But it's not a criticism, it's just something that maybe we can think about for the next editions. However, I did enjoy the talk by Sean Blakely, the block pattern revolution, and the accessibility talk by my colleague Vicente Sanchez that was about color contrast. What is the next thing about color contrast? It was a potentially boring subject that Vicente made unbelievably entertaining. We were laughing all the way through. And the fun thing is that not only do Vicente and I live in the same city, we also live on the same road. And my talk was on an hour after the end of his talk. And he set the bar so high for me, because I was also talking about accessibility, although not a specific topic, more generic tips. So that I was actually really, really compelled to deliver the best presentation I possibly could in order to be at least on par with Vicente's amazing talk. Hats off to him for turning a potentially dry topic into one of the funniest WordCamp talks I have ever seen. I also attended a workshop by Alice Orru. She's a copywriter and focusing on accessibility and inclusion. And her workshop was, the title is Copy Tips for Brilliant Alt Text and Accessible Writing. And it was great. I learned so much and really enjoyed it. The hallway track was the best. Like I said, that's mostly what I did. Also, I was lucky enough to be there, sponsored by Yoast, and to whom I'm very grateful, because they made the whole experience wonderful for me as well. So thanks to the Diversity Fund by Yoast, and anyone who belongs to an underrepresented category, who's an accepted speaker at a WordCamp, can apply to be awarded to be part of the Diversity Fund awards, and I really recommend that you do it. So that was great. So yeah, hallway track was fantastic. I spoke to so many people, and the funny thing is that since the last WordCamp in 2019, I realized I had so many new friends that I'd met online. And it felt like we were friends. It didn't feel like we hadn't met before. At least that's how it felt to me. Because for a couple of years, I was leading webinars with my Maverick colleagues for Cloudways. So that meant I met loads of people who were doing that. And when I met them, it felt like I knew them. Plus, of course, lots of people that I do know in real life. And it was wonderful to see them, and it felt incredibly rewarding. So I guess that being back at an in-person event since COVID was amazing. I have always been incredibly careful and wary of this illness, and miraculously managed to never get it. Apparently I don't have it now either. My voice loss is just down to too much hallway track, a lot of maybe later nights than usual, and variable weather while in Porto. So I took a risk. I knew that there was a chance we would get infected, but I think that I am now joining the ranks of those who say that we do need to get back to life at some point, and we are back to life. We'd already had 2 events in Spain, 2 WordCamps, one in Seville in December, where we had very strict COVID-related measures, and we managed, despite being during a spike, because December 2021 saw a spike in cases, it was there was zero cases after. So I think that we weren't as careful in Porto. But I think that, relatively speaking, there have been a few cases, but really not that many. And it was just wonderful. And I can't wait for the next one, which here in Spain, where I live, will be in September at WordCamp Pontevedra, which is in Galicia, northern Spain. So yeah, that was it. I am still riding the wave of euphoria after a wonderful few days. Thank you, WordPress community.
Hi everyone, this is Raquel Landfeld. I wanted to share with everybody some of my favorite experiences and things that stood out to me at WordCamp Europe. Yeah, I got to attend and visit Porto, Portugal, and it was amazing. Definitely what stood out to me was how much WordCamp felt like WordCamp. Truth be told, I expected it to feel different and to look different. In many ways, it did look different, but it so felt the same. Probably a little bit amplified, as a lot of us haven't seen each other in 2, 3, even 5 years. So it was wonderful. One of my favorite parts was being able to hug a lot of my friends that I had not hugged in so long. Of course, hallway track was amazing as usual, and is where you could see so much happening. Not only were we reacquainted with each other, but businesses and happenings went down, and it was just wonderful. I met so many people who talked about having meetings and using that opportunity to really collaborate, and that just made my heart swell. coming back to an in-person event was so needed, and honestly, it was such a huge success, and I'm so excited for things to get back and for us to be able to collaborate and to see more and more of each other. So many of us have already expressed how we do better together, and that's IRL. So yeah, ultimately, at the end of the day, I loved having our IRL camp and seeing each other, collaborating, and I'm so excited for what the future holds.
All right. Once again, thanks to those people who submitted some replies and shared their experience about WordCamp Europe out in Porto. And by the way, next year's WordCamp Europe is in Athens, Greece, if I'm not mistaken. So there you go. All right, moving on. Segment 3, Tip of the Week. It's back to WordCamp Europe. Go online and watch the talks. I think they should be up and processed by now, I believe. If not, they'll be coming soon. But check them out. Support them, give them some love, share them online. And the team that put together WordCamp Europe did an amazing job. So there you go. All right, that is it for this week. If you have any questions, go ahead and send it in via email, adam@kitchensinkwp.com, or use a SpeakPipe function on the website. If you want to support the show, that'd be awesome. Patreon. You can also sponsor the show. There's a form on the website. Thanks for listening. See you next week. Now go out and do some awesome things with WordPress. All right. Bye-bye.